Sarin gas in Tokyo, a dark day in Japan's history. Today we are looking into the history of an event that deeply affected Japan, a subway attack that killed 14 people. To understand how it happened, it is necessary that we learn about Aum Shinrikyo, a religious cult. Aum Shinrikyo was founded by Asahara Shoko in 1984. At first, it attracted followers by mixing different religious ideas, including parts of Buddhism and Hinduism. Asahara presented himself as a prophet, claiming the world would end soon, and only he and his followers could survive. His cult grew quickly, and many of his followers fully believed in his teachings. At its peak, over 15,000 people in Japan followed this religion, and this group even tried to go into politics and win elections. However, suspicion grew around the group as it became more extreme, leading authorities to look into Aum Shinrikyo. Even though there were concerns from the government, Asahara and his followers carried out several smaller attacks and killed those who were against them. They were never convicted because of a lack of evidence. After failing in the 1990 national elections, Asahara became more determined to get attention and decided to plan a larger attack to spread fear in Tokyo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
I'm Chickling.
And we have an article for you today and tomorrow, and it's actually a rather serious article. Normally here on English for You, we like to look at fun and educational and often uplifting topics. But this one is definitely not fun, not uplifting, but maybe educational. We're going to be talking about a sarin gas attack in Tokyo, a dark day in Japan's history. This is something that happened quite a long time ago, maybe even long enough that it happened before some of you out there were born, but it is something that we should always remember, always pay attention to, and be aware of. So when you read this title of this article, Chikalin, were you familiar with this sarin gas attack in Tokyo?
I'm not really sure, but it rings a bell. It does ring a bell.
Okay.
Yeah. I know a lot of people died, maybe 14 or even more than that.
A small number of people died, but many hundreds or even thousands were hurt by this. And that's partly because of the form of the attack. This was a terrorist attack, kind of like 9/11 or when terrorists, set off bombs or something, right? We had a very terrible terrorist attack at that Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, I believe, in England a few years ago. That was a bomb attack. This was a sarin gas attack, which is a very unusual form of terrorist attack using a kind of poison gas, basically. So let's get into our article. It's going to be a bit of a challenging read, but it's an important read as well, important stuff to know. So let's start off with the beginning of the article, which says, today we are looking into the history of an event that deeply affected Japan, a subway attack that killed 14 people.
So look into something 就是去调查或研究。我们今天这个文章要讲到一件对日本影响很深远的事情哦。那它就是一个 subway attack， 这个就是地铁攻击，算是一个恐怖攻击。这一场攻击呢，夺走了14条的人命。
All right, now if you're looking into something, if you're learning about something, sometimes you do have to go back in time to before the event actually happened to understand why it happened, right? A lot of things will lead up to something like this happening. Often in English, we describe this as being the context. What was going on in the world and in Japan and in this group that led them to this attack? So that's what it says next. To understand how it happened, it is necessary that we learn about Aum Shinrikyo, a religious cult.
我们在这边看到今天的文法 Let's take a look. 所以呢，我们讲到了 it is necessary, important, critical, advisable, essential 之类的字 that 怎么样怎么样。这些字呢，我们是用某些特定的形容词来表示说，这个名词子句中所述的事件或行为的必要性或重要性。 所以呢，我们主要是希望读者或听的人可以按照你讲的这件事情去做，去指示，去行事，所以我们句中通常就会省略掉 should。所以我们看那个句子 It is crucial that every student submit their assignments on time。 那这个 should 其实我们可以省略。那我们在句型中呢，部分的形容词呢也可以改写成名词，我们常用在正式的写作中哦。所以比如说 it is of， 然后加一个形容词，再加一个名词 that someone should do something。 比如说 it is of great importance that you stay hydrated during the hike， 代表 it is important that you stay hydrated during the hike。
All right, so yeah, let's find out about Shinrikyo. In the sentence just behind that we read, it said a religious cult. We'll talk about what a cult is, but you'll get an idea when I tell you guys about this word religious. This is an adjective, and it has to do with religion. When we think of religion, we think of Christians, we think of Muslims, we think of Buddhists. These are, people who follow different religions. So anything to do with a religion, no matter what religion, right? And it doesn't matter which one you're talking about, but if it has to do with some religion of any kind, then that's the adjective we would use. So you could call a church or a temple a religious building. If you have a Bible or a Quran, these would be religious books or religious writings. Here we're talking about a certain small type of religion. This is a religious cult.
Cult 就是邪教，那么 religious 就是宗教的。
All right, we also have this example sentence for the word religious. The people in the church sang some religious songs at the end of the service. Yeah, religious songs, at least in the Christian church, are called hymns, H-Y-M-N.
所以呢，老师刚刚我们刚刚有讲了嘛 religious 就是宗教的。那么如果宗教信仰我们怎么讲呢？我们就是在后面加上一个 belief。所以 religious beliefs 就是你的宗教信仰。比如说有些人很虔诚嘛，你就可以说 his religious beliefs guide the way he lives his life。所以名词呢就是 religion。
We learned the name of it, which we already saw, and also the name of the person who sort of created it, or as it says in the article, Shinrikyo was founded by Asahara Shoko in 1984. So Shinrikyo is the name of the cult. Asahara Shoko is the name of the man who founded it or started it. He began it. It was his idea, and it had been around since 1984. Not very long in the world of religions, right? As many religions have been around for thousands of years. This one, not that long, but it was a new religion. Often a new religion could be described as a cult, and it started back in 1984. And in the beginning, at least, Shinrikyo wasn't the type of religious cult or group that you would expect to do something like a terrorist attack.
所以如果我们想要了解为什么这件事情会发生，我们就要先去认识奥姆真理教这一个东西。这什么东西呢？它是个宗教性的邪教组织哦。那所以这个奥姆真理教是怎么来的呢？它是在1984年由麻原彰晃这一个男性所创立的。
All right, so let's find out what it was like back in 1984 when Asahara Shoko started it. At first, that's Shinrikyo, it attracted followers by mixing different religious ideas, including parts of Buddhism and Hinduism. So it was kind of like a buffet of religions in this cult. They would have parts of Buddhism, which of course is a much bigger, more well-known religion, Hinduism as well, which comes from India. And this attracted a lot of early followers back when it started. To attract is to appeal to draw in, to have something nice that brings people closer, that makes people interested, that is appealing or attractive to a person. For example, don't leave that food out. It might attract ants. Yes, you might want to attract customers to your new business. That's good. Attracting ants into your kitchen, not so good. And we also had this followers word. A follower or followers in the plural is someone who follows. Often in religion, if we say she or he is a religious follower, that means they believe in that religion. They might be a religious person. They go to church. If they're Christian, they read the Bible as well, or they do things that Muslim people will do, and they follow Islam. So you're a follower. It basically means you are a member of that religion. For example, Aretha is a follower of the teachings of Buddha, so she would be a Buddhist, most likely.
所以 attract 就是吸引的意思哦。那么它的名词是什么呢？就是 attraction。attraction 指的就是吸引力的意思。那当然形容词也长很像，形容词就是 attractive， 一个长得很漂亮的人，很帅的人都可以说 attractive。那我们这边出现的 follower 其实就是有信徒、拥护者的意思。那么我们现在不是大家都会用 social media 嘛？上面追踪你的人就是你的 follower。Back
to our article, it says Asahara, remember him, Asahara Shoko, who founded this cult, presented himself as a prophet, claiming the world would end soon, and only he and his followers could survive. This is kind of a classic thing that a cult leader will say. The world is full of problems, and I am the only person who can fix it. I am the only person who can save you.You must follow me and do what I say. If you don't, you could die, and things like that. Of course, that's probably not true. They're just trying to control people and get them to follow them in whatever they do. In this case, though, he said he was a prophet. A prophet is someone who says they can see the future. They might have messages from God being sent only to them. They might be a child of God. Maybe they're claiming to be the son or the daughter of God, or they just have some special power.that allows them to know what will happen in the future, and of course that is highly unlikely to be true.
所以呢，我们这边看到啊，这个 prophet 它就是有这个先知的意思，所以其实麻原他就自称说我是先知哦，他就宣称说世界即将灭亡，只有他跟信徒才能幸存。Oh my gosh!
But the world can be a scary place, and sometimes people who can't deal with, the sort of the true scary nature of the world, they look for someone like Asahara Shoko, someone to protect them and tell them it will all be okay if they only believe in that person. So he did attract a lot of people. His cult grew quickly, and many of his followers fully believed in his teachings. Many of the people who, listened to him really did believe that he was a prophet, really did believe that he could, save the world from all sorts of terrible disasters.Right,
所以 believe in something or someone 就是相信什么是好的存在，所以他的教派就一直壮大，很多信徒就对他的教义深信不疑。
At its peak, over 15,000 people in Japan followed this religion, and this group even tried to go into politics and win elections. So you can see there.I mean, Japan, of course, has more than 100 million people in it, but still 15,000 is quite a lot, and they tried to use their religious power to turn that into political power and win elections. What is an election? That's a vote. When we pick our mayor for the city or our president for the country, anyone in the Lifa Yuan, they have to win an election to get in and to get that job as a politician. So that's a vote of all the people to pick their leaders. For example, Valerie wants to run in the election for class president. Will you vote for her?
所以呢 election 就是选举，那你赢选举就是 you can win an election or you can also lose an election. 所以总统选举最近美国刚发生的就是 presidential election， 或你要参加选举就是 to run for election。比如说 she decided to run for election as the mayor of her city. 所以在鼎盛的时候，这个邪教啊，它在日本拥有超过15000名的追踪者，而且他们还甚至曾经尝试要参政，参加国会选举。
However, it says suspicion grew around the group as it became more extreme, leading authorities to look into Aum Shinrikyo.So yes, they started off small and then eventually 15,000 people, and now they want to be in the government. They want to win elections and have their members be politicians. Well, this led to suspicions growing around the group. When you have a suspicion, it means you're a little bit worried about things. You think something bad could be happening. You don't actually have proof. Maybe nothing bad has happened yet, but in your mind you have these fears, these doubts, these worries.That something could be going wrong. Someone could be lying or could be doing bad things and, not letting people know about it, that kind of idea. So, if you've seen something strange and it makes your sort of warning signals in your brain go, I think something is wrong here, you would probably have some suspicions about something or a person. For example, Brian has a suspicion that one of his workers is stealing from the store.
所以 suspicion 就是怀疑、不信任的意思哦。比如说，如果有人被怀疑，我们就可以说 under suspicion。比如说 ，the manager is currently under suspicion for embezzlement。 那么 authority 在我们文章中看到是官方当局的意思，我们常常用复数来代表当权者，所以随着教团他们变得越来越极端，大家就开始对他有点怀疑，就引起了当时候政府的关注。
Even though there were concerns from the government, Asahara and his followers carried out several smaller attacks and killed those who were against them. Okay, so they hadn't done anything big like this gas attack in the Tokyo subway, but there were some strange things going on and the government was concerned. They were suspicious. Asahara and his followers carried out several smaller attacks, so they did hurt some other people out there in Japan in places, and they also killed those who were against them. Maybe there were people who had left the cult and were saying, oh, Asahara is a dangerous man, and someone who said things like that, they ended up dead. So you'd think that that would be a good chance for the government to put this dangerous man in jail, but that's not what happened.
所以呢，尽管政府对他们是有警觉的哦，可是呢，麻原跟信徒居然就进行了一些小规模的攻击，甚至还去杀了反对他们的人。
All right, so even though police thought Asahara and his followers were committing crimes, it says they were never convicted because of a lack of evidence. So even though the police thought something bad was going on, they could never prove it. They could never get it into a court of law and get these people put in jail or convicted. Why? Because the police didn't have evidence. Evidence is basically proof of something. Facts that show something is true. Not just me saying it's true. Oh, believe me, trust me, it's true. No, I can show you something that with your own eyes you can see shows that it is true. If you have a picture of someone actually, in the bank with a gun, with nothing covering their face, and you're like, hey, I know that guy, that's probably proof that that person stole the money from the bank. That is evidence or proof. For example, this picture and her chocolate-covered fingers is evidence that Mabel was the one who ate my birthday cake.
所以呢，我们这边看到convict 它就是在法庭上被宣判是有罪的。那 evidence 是我们今天文章中的单字，它就是证据的意思。因为都没有证据，所以他们都没有被定罪哦。
So even though police were worried about these people, they couldn't actually stop them. And then it says after failing in the 1990 national elections, Asahara became more determined to get attention and decided to plan a larger attack to spread fear in Tokyo. So they didn't win some elections. No one voted for the people they wanted to become powerful politicians. And so this made their leader, Asahara, very upset, very angry. He probably thought that, people were cheating in the elections and, all sorts of things like that. So he decided to do something and attack the government because he didn't like the results of the election.
所以呢，在1990年国会选举中失败之后，麻原就变得更偏执。他就下定决心策划一场更巨大的攻击，在东京散播恐惧。
All right, we will have much more about this very soon. But for now, we have our chat question. What do you think makes people follow unusual beliefs or leaders?
Well, I think people do that because they crave belonging, or they want to find clear answers or meaning for something, especially during uncertain times. Like you need someone to believe in.
That can be true. Often people kind of get into it in their 20s when they're on their own and, they don't really know what to do with their lives and things like that. There's all sorts of different reasons, but I think it's a good rule. If someone is promising you that they know all the answers, they will take care of everything, you only have to believe in them, I think it's maybe a good chance there to think carefully about who you are following.
Yeah. 所以喜欢今天的主题的话呢，大家还是可以到空中家教跟我们真人老师互动练习哦。拜拜。
Bye-bye. Vocabulary Review.
Religious. This building is mainly used for religious events, such as services and prayer meetings. Attract. Although this phone doesn't offer any special features, many people are attracted to its great appearance. Follower. Christianity is the biggest religion in the world and has over 2.4 billion followers. Election. The president felt confident before the election, but in the end, she only won by a few votes. Suspicion. Maria looked at the broken plate with suspicion, wondering who might have done it. Evidence. There was no evidence that suggested Bob had killed anyone, so he was allowed to leave the police station.
智慧小补帖。
Cult. Prophet. Authority. Convict.